Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to a Thursday live stream. Today, I have several things to talk about, including the day at the Capitol from yesterday that I finished up at Florida's Capitol, where I got to see both the House and the Senate voting on some different initiatives, which was very interesting to watch. Also, I want to point out before we really get into everything, there's a 24-hour volume spike that we've seen in decentralized science. According to CoinGecko, look at how aggressive that volume spike is. The last time I remember seeing it like this is when Bio launched. Now Bio's up 15% today, which might be part of the reason why we're seeing that volume spike, but it's just something interesting I want to pay attention to at least a little bit. Now it looks like the live stream setup is not actually live right now, so let's go ahead and take a second to see. It says on OBS that I'm live, but on YouTube it does not say that I'm live. So let's go ahead and look at the phone. We'll switch it to Bitcoin so you guys have something to look at while I look at it. Yep, not live. Okay. Okay. All right, well, that's awkward. All right, everyone, divert over to the other live stream. That's annoying. Okay, cool. I don't know why, but the stream keys got all messed up this morning, so I've been live on this live stream the whole time. Good thing I did not say anything that would get me in trouble. Can somebody go over to the other live stream? I'll do it. Okay, cool. So, like I was saying, welcome into a Thursday day live stream. That's something new for me. I've not seen a duplicate stream key be created by YouTube before, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I delete any accidental live streams from prior times trying to go live. Now, like I was saying, on CoinGecko, decentralized science has seen a massive surge in trading volume, which is fairly interesting. Again, last time I saw this was when Bio launched. Bio's up 15% today, so it's possible that that's linked to that. We'd have to go through and check and see. Several different projects are actually spiking. VitaDAO is spiking in volume. We're seeing Riff spike in volume. We're seeing Euro. We're seeing Vita RNA. So I'm imagining that some sort of longevity group is getting interested in decentralized science. And those are token prices, not even just volume prices, but still the point remains, if the price is spiking, volume is likely spiking with it. And then if you come look at all of the ones that have been spiking, actually, it's interesting, and I think it ties into a little bit of what we're talking about here today with what Bill wants us to discuss, which, of course, we will get into all of the posts that he pulled up. So we have to go back and forth to send a message, WTF. You shouldn't have to. This chat now should be the main chat, right? This should be main chat. Let me grab this. Boom. Properties. Boom. Okay, there we go. I switched it. Sus. You guys should be like, okay, cool. So it was just the chat above my head that wasn't linked appropriately, but now it is linked. Bullish. All right, so Bitcoin let's go to the daily chart. Now I'm very low energy today. I feel like absolute garbage. So we're going to have to bear with me while I go through the live stream and everything that we want to talk about. I'll still be here and we'll still have good conversations, but bear with me. On my chart, okay, now I know that I draw my lines a little bit differently than everyone else, but on my chart right now, we are seeing Bitcoin break above the resistance line that we have had for quite some time here. So this entire sell-off that started back in January and now being April, so almost 4 months of selling off, we have now broken above that resistance. We're also above the 20-day moving average, which has been what has been holding us down this entire time. It looks like we're trying to find support here. We're not out of the woods yet, in my opinion, until we get above the dotted line here and above the 200-day moving average, which would put Bitcoin's price upwards of 88,000. So I want to see some daily closes above 88,000 for me to really feel confident that this breakout is happening. But for the time being, I feel like this is a good signal to show that Bitcoin is starting to reverse. And with the confluence of the Fed saying they're going to start potentially stepping in to intervene with the market sell-off, and seeing Fed futures saying that they're going to potentially be lowering interest rates either this meeting or the next meeting, and saying with watching global liquidity having bottomed 107 days ago or whatever the offset is, it lines up pretty nicely with this having been the bottom. I can't discredit the idea that we do come down one more time and have this giant sell-off if there is some tragic news that comes out. So again, we're not totally out of the woods yet, but it looks like most of the pain is over for now, which means that we're gearing up, and this is why I named that other live stream the last leg up in the market, because I do believe that either we start slowly climbing up now, or we have one more sell-off and then we start slowly climbing up. But I do believe that we're getting ready to set that next leg up in the market, which I think will be the final leg up in the market. Now, I don't know what's going to happen because nobody has a crystal ball, but it's been a fun bull run, and hopefully we can end it with a bang. Hopefully we can end it with a bang. Yes, good morning everyone. Good morning MK, good morning Jordy, good morning Steve the Canadian, good morning C90. What's good MK? How's it going Beagle? What's good Derek? I am ready to be live. No, I'm not. That was a lie. I feel exhausted, but I am live regardless because I missed the last 2 lives because I was at Florida State Capitol trying to talk and network with some of the politicians there, because there's been several crypto bills in Florida that have been getting passed or are at least getting to the next stage in exploration to see if they're actually going to make it. Now, one of them was the strategic reserve for Bitcoin in the state of Florida, which would allow for Florida to start investing in Bitcoin. Florida has actually, believe it or not, already invested in Solana. They made a lot of money in Solana, but because they had to go through custodial services, they had to pay a giant fee on the money that they made, which is crazy to think that Florida has invested in Solana and made money off of it. But this bill that they're working on would allow for Florida to invest directly and hold on to their Bitcoin in a reserve and not pay as much fees. So that's pretty cool. It passed the committee, which means it gets to go to the next stage of voting, and we will see if it passes all of the rounds of voting to actually be a law that gets in place. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. We're getting governments to buy. Steve the Canadian, about a week ago, we actually watched the video that you posted on X here live, and I agree with what you were saying. I do. I told you guys, Wednesday pain, by Friday good. Next week start picking your favorite projects. It is almost time to go. Let's go. Or it's almost go time. Close enough. It's good. Honestly, the structure looks very sound for this uptrend. It does not look like we've broken anything down, and the tariff pain, I think the market is kind of ignoring it. I think the market's low-key priced in a lot of the effects, had those valuation compressions, and most of the fear is subsided as we're seeing Trump be willing to negotiate. And I think everyone's kind of understanding that these tariffs are not a permanent thing and that they're just there to negotiate some economic expansion. And then once Trump has done whatever it is he's trying to do, he'll start rolling them back, and then it should be a good look for the economy. But we will see what actually ends up happening. Now, as far as decentralized science, first thing I want to bring up is the roadmap and milestones for Poseidon DAO. So you guys know I am helping Poseidon DAO. I'm an advisor for Poseidon DAO, and I've been helping them with some of their marketing efforts and bringing on researchers and stuff like that, right? It's trying to just network for them and allow for them to get expansion. They have been a project that has continuously delivered on the roadmap and milestones that they've put into place. So I do think it is really beneficial to kind of review their roadmap so you can get an understanding of how long things are going to take and where their head is at. So we've already seen in Q3 2024, you watched my video, someone cared. Oh yeah, we cared. We all loved it, Steve. We loved it. I need to retire by Friday at 5 p.m. though. I mean, you can retire, but you might not retire with much money. Q3 2024, audit SHI token smart contract, done. Q4 2024, the launch of SHI and the conceptualization of WeKira. Q1 25, audit and deploy the DApp and begin their funding. Q2 of 2025, development of WeKira, initiate data collection, implement of off-chain proposal in DApp, and initial results of funded research, rare compute. So in Q2, which we're in right now, so in the next 2.5 months or so, we should get some of the initial feedback from the research funding that we did for rare compute. And then Q3, we will be getting the development of WeKira, processing of and normalizing the collected data, the initial model training, and create a shop in DApp, use PO tokens to purchase products. So another use case for PO tokens, if any of you guys participated in the voting, you've gotten a little bit of PO tokens, and then you can redeem the PO for SHI or different products that they get launched on their DApp, which is pretty unique, right? Now the conversion is not super high for your votes into PO. I think I voted with like, I think I voted with like 20,000 SHI or something, and I got like 10 PO. So not crazy high conversion, and then you get 10 PO into 10 SHI. So really not the craziest, but if we do get some of the price predictions, or if we do get SHI to go back to where it was before the giant market sell-off, and we're seeing pushing $7, $10, which I think is extremely doable, then you're looking at like $100 to vote on a proposal, which is pretty cool in my opinion. It's a nice little reward for helping fund some science. And then of course, always ongoing fundraising, marketing, research project sourcing, and due diligence. So it should be good. It should be good to keep an eye on Poseidon DAO. Of course, they also posted recently, Bill wants me to talk about how science funding is broken. We're fixing it, one proposal, one breakthrough at a time. Just the roadmap. And then you can actually go look at their Gitbook light paper, which was this. So there you have it. Poseidon DAO, rare compute with the little claps. I'll go ahead and like this, like that, repost this. Also, you guys should repost and like the live stream if you guys enjoy decentralized science and attempting to make money in crypto. What's good, Wild Africa? Welcome into the live stream. Steve, he has audio now. We watched the whole update, lol. Yeah. Next up, we have genomes.io, genomes DAO, genomes.eth. The genomic revolution is in full swing, and we are here for it. Here's why us exceeding the 10K yard line in health reports means so much. That and lots more exciting announcements coming soon. So a little bit of a update for Genomes DAO, if any of you guys are holding on. They've done a lot of work to get 10,000 health reports into the market. Unfortunately, only 8 people tuned into lives to the X space. So that's kind of crazy to think, actually. It kind of gives you a representation of the state of the DeSci market. Most people are not super interested in what's going on in DeSci right now, but doesn't mean that the people here haven't stopped working. or have stopped working. We saw over the entirety of the last 3 years, Genomes DAO has just been consistently pumping out live streams on X, these spaces. And so they are here whether or not people want to listen to them. They're going to continue to work. And that is a good vote of confidence for me, at least. Next up, we have Cerebrum DAO reposting something from Neuroscience News. Before I read this, I do want to tell you guys that we got some recognition for DeSci in TradSci, actually, from Curetopia. So after I read this one from Cerebrum DAO, we'll go and talk about what happened with Curetopia and how they actually brought in some attention into DeSci over the last couple days. So we see that Ozempic is linked to lower Alzheimer's risk, which is fairly interesting and kind of plays into the idea of drug repurposing. Ozempic being one of the most famous drugs right now, it has a lot of different purposes that people are finding it useful for. The main one obviously being weight loss, but we're also seeing different implications with diabetes and because of that also Alzheimer's. As some of you guys know, one of the types of Alzheimer's is known as type 3 diabetes. So a new study found that 2 commonly prescribed type 2 diabetes medications, GLP-1 receptors against the SGLT2 inhibitors, are associated with a reduction in risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. Again, that's because Alzheimer's is likened to type 3 diabetes, which is pretty intriguing to me at least. Next up, let's go to Curetopia, actually. I want to talk about Curetopia before we go into that one. So Curetopia, Ethan here, the founder of Curetopia, he raised $2 million in a community round for and rare diseases on-chain with Solana and Bioprotocol. Crypto is an emerging option for biotech builders if you can stomach the volatility. But hey, it's not like TradBio fundraising is any less gut-wrenching. So might as well try something new. We get Biotech TV from the Bay Area. They talked, I'm not going to make you guys listen to this because I don't want to listen to it, but they talked about how a new biotech company is raised up to $5 million from the public in a community round. It might be a new avenue of funding for biotech companies. So this is exactly what we envisioned. This is exactly what we thought for the bullish thesis behind decentralized science, is that especially with the NIH cuts that Trump did this year, a lot of researchers need to find funding in different, more unique avenues. And so one of the avenues that they can go down is community fundraising from decentralized science. We also saw Axon DAO here talking about it for a little bit. The Trump administration recent budget cuts to the NIH, the world's largest public funder for biomedical research, have significantly impacted early career scientists, leading to widespread job losses, disrupted research, and a significant increase in grant competition. So we got mass layoffs, which is not too crazy for the global economy because it's just a small number of people working at the NIH compared to everything, but it's still a lot of people who lost their jobs. It is a large subset of the R&D area for biotech, right? We got program terminations, we got reduced grant success rates. So all of these people, these thousands of people, these 20,000 full-time staff people are all going to be shifting their attention to find new avenues to get money to continue doing their research. And decentralized science, while it's in its infancy, it works. We've seen it. We've seen it work. And so they're also going to start seeing it work, and then they're going to start jumping in. And it is just the bullish thesis coming true for decentralized science. Cryptos are us tweeting about Axon again too. Nice. Love to see it. Love to see it. And then Sinai says, also some recent studies linking GLP-1 to bone density loss. Yeah. Well, Ozempic, obviously I don't know everything there is to know about Ozempic. Okay. I'm just going to face that right off the get-go. Where is it? But Ozempic makes you lose mass. It does not make you lose fat. It makes you lose body mass. And so for people who are morbidly obese, a majority of the body mass they lose will be fat because they have more of it to lose. But it does not discriminate for the most part, at least from what I saw. It does not necessarily discriminate between losing fat, losing muscle, losing bone density, right? It just makes you lose mass. And so it is kind of sketchy and pretty dangerous if you don't take it safely. I don't know everything about it, so take my opinion with a grain of salt there, but from what I saw, it just makes you lose body mass, which means that if you take it and you don't work out, you don't eat right, you don't put strain on your bones, you will lose bone mass because it's just making you lose mass. So pretty interesting drug, but sketchy. The widespread adoption of it is pretty crazy. Next up, from Long COVID Labs, we have the first patient in our case studies to get pre-treatment blood work done this week. We sent a mobile phlebotomist to his home to collect the sample, saving him from a trip to the lab. We know how difficult it can be for severe home and bedbound patients to make it to medical facilities. So they're actually out on the street right now collecting data and collecting samples for their research, which is pretty outstanding. Again, like I said, the double-edged sword of DeSci is that most of the people who are building in decentralized science are not crypto native. Most of them are lab or academics, right? And so they're not super familiar with crypto. And when we want them to be promoting stuff and onboarding people and helping with community, it's annoying because they don't often get it. However, when price goes down, they don't really care at all. It doesn't matter to them so much. And so they just continue to work. Whereas often in crypto, when price goes down, you'll see founders and you'll see project leaders just give up, just stop. They're like, well, whatever. I can't make any money off of it, so I'm done. But these people don't care. So it's the double-edged sword of it. They'll just continue to work. Price goes down 80, 90, 100%. They'll continue to go out in the field and onboard new patients and continue to work. So we'd love to see that. Love to see that. We also, for Curetopia, which I'm not mixing up, but I mixed in something from Long COVID Labs with Curetopia, but Curetopia had a community call. So they're having a community call tomorrow. So you can go ahead and listen if you guys want to get some updated information on them. And then, of course, everyone in DeSci right now is getting ready for Token 2049 in Dubai, which will be in 12 days. I will not be attending this year, but I wish everyone luck who is attending. I need to stay at home and work because I need to continue to work on what I have going on. I have lots of exciting things I'm trying to build right now, all of them for Bill. And so I don't really have time to go travel around the world and talk to people about how cool DeSci is. I need to stay at home and work. But if any of you guys are going to be in Dubai, let me know. Reminder, community call Friday from Pump Science. We're talking about the roadmap. Pump Science platform token. Ooh, what? Holy shit. What? Pump Science platform token. That's crazy. How are we going to sell supplements? When should we launch the new compounds? Come for the rest. Dun, dun, dun. A platform token is crazy. Platform token, you say, question mark. And then we'll go here and we'll do the little eyes. I'll X out of that. Didn't I like it? Didn't I like it? What the heck? Did they delete it? No. All right. What do you guys want to chat about? Beagle says, let's go. Let's go. What do you guys want to talk about? We got the jobless claims today, and I think it came in better than expected, which is good for the economy, bad for cutting rates. We got 20 days before the next cut decision, and we are back to predicting no rate cut. So during all the tariff drama, the market was very much expecting the Fed to cut rates, and now with 20 days left, the market is mostly predicting the Fed will not cut rates in this next meeting. There's a lot of things that can happen between now and then, so don't count it off yet, but as of now, if things continue on the way that they're continuing, we likely won't see any rate cuts. The data that came out today kind of, I think, drove that home for everyone because not as many people are losing their jobs as I think people were expecting. And so the Fed has no real reason to step in because ultimately the market going down a little bit does not necessarily mean that the economy is stopping. Now, if this gets out of hand, it can mean that, but the Fed is very reactive, not proactive, because they would rather go through a period of pain than be wrong and cause years of turmoil. So they would rather us go through sections like this, where we dip in the market to cool the economy off and everything, and just make sure that they don't mess up again, because they definitely waited too long to do something during this period. And so they're mostly reactive, not proactive. Is pump science US based? I don't think so. I don't actually know, Beagle. It's a good question. I don't actually know. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's go take a look at Ethereum. Gross. Until Ethereum breaks above the 20-day moving average here, we have no reason to believe that it's done bleeding. No reason to believe that it is done bleeding until it breaks back above the 20-day moving average. And then we might get a bounce up to the 200-day, which would be a nice little gain, but it would still be down so bad. So bad. I can't believe we saw Ethereum down at $1,400. That is crazy. For Solana had dropped all the way down to 95. Now it's definitely climbing a good amount here. It's climbing quite substantially, actually, up to 134, and it has broken above its 20-day moving average. So Solana is showing a lot of strength here. So I imagine some of the Solana-based coins are going to start doing pretty well. People are probably going to start launching stuff again here soon. In the next month or so, I imagine that we'll get some of that confirmation for people. Of course, we want to see it break above this previous high. So we want to see Solana sustainably above 150 for a good chunk of time here in order to get that expectation that we continue this rally upwards. Oh man, what a ride it has been. Oh, my back. My back. What have you guys been paying attention to? What happened in the market yesterday that I missed? What's been going on? Anything exciting? We're seeing TLT stay down at these lows. So if you guys think that the Fed will cut rates, this is the hedge that I've talked about multiple times. So you guys know my entire thesis on it. It's taking a little bit of time to play out, but that was expected. When the Fed does start cutting rates again, we will see TLT go up, because that is just how they cut rates, is by buying TLT, right? They lower the yield by buying bonds. And so when they do decide to cut rates, this will start going up. We just saw like that attack that was happening from all the other countries, specifically China, when we implemented those tariffs and they started tanking TLT. I think I haven't looked at the options chain right yet, but I imagine this period right here of lessened volatility is reducing the premiums. So if you guys want to scale into that hedge with me, it'd probably be looking at a good time here soon. So in the next week or so, I imagine, as long as we don't get any crazy news, we'll probably see TLT kind of bounce around here for a little bit, maybe come down like this, back up, right? If it does something like this, we'll see the premiums go down and it will become a more attractive time to get into those options. Leap options though, give it time to play out. Don't think it's going to happen. Last thing you should do, in my opinion, is buy an option that expires in like 21 days and be like, oh, they're going to cut rates, and so I'm going to buy an option that expires the day after they cut rates so I can make the most amount of money. Don't do that. Give it time. The fastest decay of premium for options happens in the last 45 days of an option's existence. And so ultimately, if you think that, I'm using this as a hypothetical, right? The market is saying this is not going to take place, right? But I'm just using it as an example. If you think in 20 days they'll cut rates, you want to buy an option that expires in 20 days plus 45 days so that you don't have that exponential decay if things don't line up perfectly, okay? So you want to do a 65-day out option if you were to think that they would cut rates in 20 days. Now the market's saying they're not going to, so you would want to go look at the next meeting, which would be June 18th, which the market right now is expecting, for the most part, that they will cut rates by June 15th. And so that one being, or June 18th, that one being an extra couple months out, you would again just add 45 days to that if you want to cut it close. But what I'm doing is giving it all the way until January 26th. And then I also bought some for September 26th because I'm just giving it a ton of time to play out, you know, a ton of time, especially in this last little pullback that we got, this last little crash in TLT. The options I'm buying are up at like $95. So it's not even that crazy of a rally, right? We would see, my thought process is TLT goes to 120. And so if I buy a $95 or 95 strike option and it goes to 120, I'm getting an extra $25, which would translate to $2,500 per contract. Hopefully that makes sense. I know we don't talk about options all that much on the live stream. What's good, what's good, PRB? What's good, Stephen L? And considering that the live stream is titled, What is Dynex Simulated Quantum Computing? Which actually, hold on, I think I can actually just change that. Can change all of it. I didn't even realize. Bam. Okay, cool. We changed it. We changed it all. But we can talk about Dynex if you guys want to. So the live stream I was going to do on Wednesday before I left to go to the Capitol, was it Wednesday? On Tuesday before I left to go to the Capitol was going to be a Dynex based live stream where we addressed some of the FUD that was going on with the buybacks and everything. And ultimately in the Discord, I gave all of the information that I was going to cover on the live stream to show you guys that the buybacks are going on. They have been going on, and it is not just faked stuff with MEXC bullshit. It is actual purchasing of Dynex's tokens through Dynex, and you can go see it on chain. So it's provable, verifiable. Yeah. Basically, that's all I was going to say. Doesn't mean that the price is not continuing to sell off, because ultimately that's all it's done for the last several months. And so would love to see a change up in this happening. Would love to see Dynex stop selling off, but obviously I don't have control over that kind of shit. So there's that. I'm there with you guys though. I've been buying Dynex aggressively since it was 40 cents. So I'm also down 90% on my initial buys. Now I've bought a lot more tokens down here, so my cost basis is probably much lower, probably like 15 cents, which is still down like 70, 80%, but crazy. It's crazy to see this. Never in a million years would I have expected Dynex to be down at these prices, but so be it. I'm holding, I'm hanging on tight. If you think that Dynex is real, if you think that Dynex is actually capable of simulating quantum computing and giving it to their customers, which I think they are, we've seen examples of it, we've gotten live demos in the Discord, we've seen the customers going on and using the platform. If you think that they are doing that, then you also likely believe that they are going to be a massive player in the future. And so this giant sell-off that's happening is nothing but an opportunity for me. That's how I'm viewing it. And opportunities, like what is his name? Charlie Munger says it best. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent, meaning don't leverage. But in this example, it's solvent in your mental ability to withstand through pain and turmoil. And so buying into something that's just falling off a cliff, in the short term, you look like an idiot. If it works out in the long term, you look like a genius. And most of the major tech companies out there, like Amazon, like Tesla, like Apple, like Nvidia, went through periods of time in which they were down just a disgusting amount. Amazon went from like $116 down to like down to like $3. Yeah, down to $6 or whatever it was. And I know you're not likely to catch the next Amazon. Statistically speaking, you won't catch the next Amazon. I do think, however, Dynex has some of the highest potential in the market to be the next Amazon type company. And so for me, holding it from $1.50 down to 3 cents is not that crazy. I mean, I'm not in at $1.50. Again, my average cost is probably somewhere around 15 cents. So holding down that much is not that absurd to me. It's just something that I'll continue to buy until my thesis is proven wrong or proven right. Powell said crypto is stronger now. Why isn't the market moving? Did he actually say that, Pete? Can someone give me a link to that? Are you buying more Data Lake? I have a ton of Data Lake right now. I've not sold a single Data Lake token the entire time I've had it. So I'm not buying any Data Lake, although it is at prices that are very attractive. It is at prices that are very attractive. But again, I already have a disgusting amount of Data Lake. So I'm just hanging on. And AI is the future, so that is also good for crypto. I agree with you there. AI is the present, my guy. AI is here. It's the present. It's also the future. It is good for crypto. Dynex has a quantum large language model that they're working on and they're benchmarking, and it's proving to be more effective than some of the existing large LLMs that are out there, and large as in market share. Like Llama, Dynex is outclassing Llama on some of the benchmarks that they've had, like truthfulness. So it is a large language. What they're building, the quantum large language model, is something that is going to disrupt the market after they've finished benchmarking it. It takes a while to train and build these models. It takes a lot of resources as well. All right, I'm buying more. Let's go, Wild Africa. Let's go. You still believe it goes to 100? I do. I think, okay, so $100 is a $10 billion market cap. If it hits it this cycle or not, I don't know. It probably, if we're going to be realistic, it's probably not going to hit it this cycle because of how absurd now it has to get to. Back here, it didn't look that absurd. Now it is absurd. Now it feels pretty absurd to go up 300,000%. We've seen it happen. But it's not super common or likely that that will happen this cycle. So I do think I need to lower my expectations a little bit, down to maybe $10 or $20, which is still pretty absurd. I do think that is possible for this cycle still. I do. Given the scale of what Dynex is doing, I think all it needs to do is come out with their quantum large language model, prove that it is as good, if not better, than some of the existing ones like Grok or like Llama or like OpenAI. Prove that they're on the same playing field, and I think that the price goes up 10,000% overnight. I do. I really think that's what is likely to happen. Obviously not financial advice, and I have no idea if that is going to happen, but that's what I think has a likely chance of happening. So long as they prove that it is as good as those other models, right? Because then everyone's going to look at it and start testing it and try it out and see for themselves and just explode the network and give it a ton of exposure. Now, on the long term, if Dynex is able to actually take care of their 10-year roadmap, right? Let's go to Dynex and let's look at what they had out there. Let's see if they have their 10-year roadmap anywhere. See, look at Dynex's QD LLM achieves a 54.5% truthful QA, outperforming LLADA and Llama 3 at the same scale, demonstrating real benchmarked verifiable quantum advantage. So they're beating Llama, which is Facebook's model. Another 38 engineers are now applying to Dynex quantum computing to meet the growing demand for the customers. More jobs. Bullish. Let's see if we can find their 10-year plan. Yeah. So if Dynex unveils a bold 10-year roadmap to target 25% of quantum computing market share by 2034, transition from emulated quantum computing to silicon quantum computing chips So they're working on and actively getting the distributors ready for, or not distributors, but the manufacturers ready for these quantum silicon chips that happen to work at room temperature, a massive breakthrough. And their plan is to launch one with 1,000 qubits at room temperature, like by the end of this year, if not early Q2 of next year, okay? If they are able to do something like this, they also already raised, they kicked off a $50 million venture capital round to fuel its growth. So they have a disgusting amount of money on hand, okay? Disgusting amount of money on hand. If they actually manage to get 25% of the quantum computing market share by 2034, 10 years, I know people don't likely want to think out 10 years, but let me just put it into perspective for a second. Expected quantum computing TAM in 10 years. Difficult to pinpoint. So you have to take it with a grain of salt because no one knows exactly what's going to happen, right? But the estimate right now is that by 2033, according to Google's AI, that quantum computing will be roughly $28 billion in total addressable market, okay? And so let's go ahead and do 28.3 times 0.25 to signify that they reached their goal. They would have $7 billion, okay? Now, this is not just in token market cap, right? Because there's premiums that people will pay for this kind of stuff. And so if they reach something like $7 billion in addressable market share, then you're going to be expecting some sort of premiums on top of that, right? So yeah, but that in and of itself would put the token price around $65. Okay, so maybe I have to expand my time horizon out a little bit, but you go look at the Quantum Insider assessment. The Quantum Insider projects a $1 trillion economic impact from quantum computing between 2025 and 2035, with vendors capturing $50 billion in revenue, right? So you go look at stuff like this, right? Because it's not a consensus. So there's a wide range depending on how profitable it really is for quantum computing. McKinsey suggests the quantum computing market could reach $2 trillion within 10 years. Let's just go ahead and take some of these high-end calculations. We'll start with the $50 billion in revenue in 10 years, okay? 50 times 0.25 equals $12.5 billion in revenue. And then you go look at some of the companies and what they trade at for price to revenue, right? This wouldn't be earnings, okay? And I don't know off the top of my head what the profit margins are for Dynex, but let's just say they get 25% of market share. They make $12.5 billion in revenue in 10 years. You multiply this out by, let's just give them, it's going to be higher than this. Without a doubt in my mind, it will be higher than this, but let's give them a 50% profit margin. So $6.25 billion in earnings. Let's give them a generous multiplier because the hype cycle comes around and they get a 30 price to earnings multiplier. You're looking at a $187 billion company. You multiply that, or how would I get that? 10 billion would be $100, kind of. I'm rounding because they have 110 million or billion tokens, so I'm rounding a little bit, but you go look at this, $10 or 10 billion, sorry, 10 billion would be $100 market token price. Oh my God, my brain right now. I told you guys I was exhausted. $100 billion would be $1,000 coin. So this would be an $1,800 coin. So yeah, I told you guys, no, anytime someone asks me for my real price targets on Dynex, I told you guys no one's going to believe me because it sounds so absurd right now. But if Dynex is actually able to pull off their 10-year roadmap, we're looking at a multi-$1,000 coin, in my opinion. And it's trading down here at 3 cents right now. It's a big gamble, but the risk to reward is crazy. You go look at stuff like this. They're saying the impact could be $2 trillion within 10 years. You go look at $2 trillion, that puts them at a $500 billion impact over the next 10 years. Even if that is just what even if their token price only represents 10% of the impact that they've had on the market. That's still 50 billion. That's a $500 Dynex. So yeah, my price targets are significantly higher than anyone could really understand. And they sound outlandish to me. Even to me, they sound outlandish, right? But I think it is super, super doable for them. A lot of things have to go correct. Don't make any mistakes there. A lot of things have to go correct for that to actually play out. And they actually have to fulfill on their promises and scale appropriately and continue to acquire customers. But if the product is as good as it seems to be, then it will sell itself to some degree. So 28 billion seems wicked low. I agree. You go look at the market caps of some of the major companies. Like, whoever is able to successfully capture a majority share in quantum computing now is the next NVIDIA. Let me repeat that for everyone. Whoever is able to capture the majority market share right now is the next NVIDIA for quantum computing. You'll look back at NVIDIA's stock price on the monthly time frame, and NVIDIA, coincidentally, was trading down at 6 cents. Then it skyrocketed to $1. Then it collapsed again down to 15 cents. And this is a monthly time frame. So you had a long period here where if you top blasted right here in '02 at the end of the dot-com bubble and everything, you top blasted, you didn't see any substantial gains for 5,000 days. But then guess what? If you held, you're rich as fuck now. You're rich AF now, because NVIDIA is a multi-trillion-dollar company now. And so you fast forward 10 years when you have companies that are 10 to 20 trillion dollars, and you see a quantum computing industry leader sitting at a $500 billion market cap when some of the biggest companies are 20, 30 trillion dollars. It doesn't look that crazy. It doesn't look that crazy at all. But that's just my opinion. Have we seen any progress on the chips? Is there a way to see progress? Likely not, Michael. I don't think we've seen any progress on the chips, at least not to the public, and I don't know that we will see any progress until it actually gets launched, right? This is a very sought after technology. If they can really pull it off, which they seem very confident that they are pulling it off, and they're working with people to start creating them and start distributing them, not distributing, I'm sorry, but they're working with people to start actually creating them and manufacturing them. People are going to want to steal that, and people will do anything to steal that. And so I doubt we'll get any progress on it until it's ready, you know? Those are the Apollo chips. Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you. Thank you, C90. Why is there so much fun on Dynex though? From what I've seen, and from the people that I've talked to who both work at Dynex and don't work at Dynex and hate Dynex and love Dynex, I've talked to a lot of people about it because I want to understand, because if I'm wrong, I've already sunk like 40 grand into this thing. I don't want to be wrong. So I need to talk to everyone and figure out what is true and what's not true. And from what I understand, Dynex had paid a bunch of Chinese KOLs to endorse Dynex and spread the good word about Dynex, and then the relationship went sour, and now those same people exploited some of the mining that happened at Dynex, and some of those people have been attacking the network, and some of those people are now paying bots on Twitter to just post FUD and say it's stupid. And if you actually engage with any of these people who are posting the FUD on Dynex, none of them can ever actually give you any proof of what they're claiming. They're just saying it's so obvious, how can you not see it? And trying to make you feel like an idiot for putting your money into it. And so it's kind of from my understanding, it's a relationship that turned sour with some people who are holding an aggressive grudge against the company. And so they're just continuing to attack it, and the price keeps going down. And so they continue to get that positive reinforcement that it's working. And so they're going to continue to do that, in my opinion, until things turn around substantially. And then they'll probably be quiet because they can't FUD something that's actually working. But in my opinion, if you're in something and there is no FUD, you probably shouldn't be in it anymore. If there is no FUD, it's probably at some sort of a topping process. When there is max FUD, you probably should get out. Or you probably should be getting in, you know? So that's just my take on it. Now, with all that being said, there is some things about Dynex that just make you stop and ponder. right? Like, what they claim to be able to do, which we have seen, is so outlandishly futuristic in some senses that it makes a lot of sense why people wouldn't believe any of the claims that they're making, right? Like, oh, we have a room temperature quantum simulation chip that is able to do 1,000 qubits. Like that, the industry leader right now, Google, or sorry, what was it, Microsoft? Their chip was 128 qubits. And remember, every additional qubit doubles the processing power. So 129 qubits doubles the chip's strength. 130 qubits doubles it again. 131 doubles it again. And so you do that on a scale up to 1,000. And what Dynex is claiming is crazy. We've seen demos of their network handling 10,000 qubits. They say that they can go significantly higher than 10,000 qubits on their network. Now, these are simulated qubits, not physical qubits, so take it with a grain of salt, which is some more FUD that was happening out for Dynex, right? The idea that they're saying we are cloud computing for quantum, right? We are a quantum cloud computing network. And people being like, you can't say you're quantum computing because you don't actually have any quantum computers. And it's like, yeah, I understand, but you're arguing semantics here. They've found a way to simulate a quantum computer on a regular computer, and it works. What's the problem? What's the problem? Everyone has a regular computer. I could start running Dynex's quantum simulations on this computer already, and you get to skip over the entire distribution phase of a new technology coming out, because guess what? Most people's computers can just start running it right now. If they found out about it, they could just jump in right now. So it's a bridge to go from regular compute to quantum computing. It's a test. It's a giant bet. And it seems like it's continuing to pay off fundamentally. Token price wise, I'm down an egregious amount of money. Like I said, I've dumped like 40 G's into this thing, and it's down like 75%. So I probably have like 10 grand left, which is crazy. I don't even look at it. I have no idea how much I have left, to be honest. I don't look at it. I just am sitting onto it. And anytime I get some money in my account, I'm like, $500, $1,000, $200. Let's go. Just keep buying. Just keep going. And if I'm wrong, then it's going to go down as one of my biggest fumbles ever. And if I'm right, it's going to go down as one of my greatest plays ever. And I'm fine with the outcome of either of them. If I see something that drastically changes that makes me think that they are a scam, like everyone is accusing them of, I'll tell you guys. It's above my head, Dynex. I'm an ambassador for them. I've never received a single penny from them for doing it. I just think that it is such a substantially profound technology that I want to endorse it. I feel proud to have it tied, right? I'm happy to do this because it is so crazy. Now, I hope that they do pay me one day because I would love that. But right now, I've not gotten paid anything. Do you have updated office hours for Easter this weekend? LOL, JK, you streaming now? Oh, Easter's in 3 days. That's crazy. That is crazy. Do you run Dynex or have you in the past? I have not. Easter Sunday, 3 days. Again, if I see something that changes my thesis on it, I will tell you guys. I will. I'll be completely transparent with it because that's the one thing that I really do my best at. That's one thing that I absolutely think people can count on me to do is just be transparent, right? I tell you guys basically everything. So we'll see. Again, I just went over some of my price targets on them. If they end up pulling this off in 10 years, this roadmap, if they even get close to it, I think it's $100 billion, $500 billion company in the making. And its token right now is sitting at 3 million. So crazy outsized returns, potentially. We will see. I'm going to end it 4 minutes early because, again, I'm exhausted and I don't really have much else to talk about. I will be live tomorrow, same time, same place. We will be building AI agent tools together for Agent Bill. So please show up. Especially if you are an Agent Bill token holder, because it's going to be the update for you guys, and it's going to be fun to create some stuff with all of you. So your time happens to be your most valuable asset, in my opinion. Hopefully this is worth investing it into. I appreciate all of you guys being here. Show up tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk about decentralized science and the broader crypto markets.